everyone, Wyloch here. As some of you may know, I recently released my third module on the DM's Guild called The Sins of Silvervale. It was developed for 5th edition and it is scalable for party levels 1 through 10, with specific guidance on adjustments to make for each tier. This release is special because I've also licensed it to Dan Bacchini of Dungeon Cast. He's begun producing box sets of resin cast tiles that you need to build this dungeon. He recently completed the first casting and he sent it to me. So we're going to do just like we did previously for the Vault of Iptiz and Julinda's Gauntlet. We're going to build the dungeon on the table in real time, and I'll briefly walk you through the high points of each room. But this time, instead of using my crafted tiles, we're going to use Dungeon Cast. So here's a look at what's in the box. Nice picture on the cover showing what it looks like when it's laid out. You got most of the decor that you'll need to populate the dungeon. A map showing you actually which tiles you ought to use. Then the tiles themselves, all handmade, resin cast, and painted. Felt on the bottom, very nice touch, keep them in place. A lot of good stuff in here, so I'm excited. Let's get to laying this thing out. The party enters through room 1, which is the chapel. The altar is currently rotated out of place because this actually covers what was originally meant to be an emergency exit for the city's nobles in case it were sacked or something like that, but it's never been used. There are 2 statues in the room that are instrumental to opening or closing the altar, but if you do it wrong, they are trapped. Additionally, the walls are covered with pure polished silver, so polished that they throw infinite reflections back and forth between each other, and if a player looks at the wrong time and a Reflectrix pulse hits, a Doppelshade could be summoned. Let's suppose the party moves north, into room 2, the antechamber. This is actually a waiting area, and beyond the large double doors is the stairway up to the castle proper, so this is the real entrance to the crypts. Not much to see here. There's a tiny brown pouch with some valuable gems that fell out of a noble's pocket, who knows how long ago, and guards can be heard laughing on the other side of the main doors. Backing up and going down the branched hallway, we see room 3, the mine entrance. There's an archway framed by massive oak timbers, and this was actually sealed off many years ago. There's a cave-in. In truth, no one in Silvervale has done any mining of any silver since then. It's retired in place, and it's preserved as a dedication to the founding of the city. It could be cleared to allow access to the mine, maybe serve as the starting point of another segment in your campaign later on, even an ingress to the Underdark, whatever you like. But for now, it's sealed. Moving on and around the corner, we come to room 4, the herb garden. In here there's some stone trenchers filled with dirt, and there's some really strange flowers growing here. They're unique, not found anywhere else in the world. There's also a table in the room with some bottles, mortar and pestle, etc. Anyone proficient in herbology or something like that could brew a potion of silver transmutation with these plants. The potion is a new magic item. See the module for details. Moving south down the hallway, we're going to skip room 5 for the moment and go to room 7, which is the prayer room. There's another statue in here, the same masked woman from the chapel, and one of the bricks in the wall is actually a button that activates the device in room 5. Other than that, this place is concentrated in spiritual energy due to its very nature, so a Reflectrix pulse might stir something to life, or rather, unlife. See the module for details. Backing out, going north to room 5. This is the Stewards Office. He's currently drunk because he's bored with having nothing to do in light of the siege. There's a cabinet in the corner of the room, which is notably adjacent to where that secret brick was in room 7. A cage of curved iron bars within this cabinet can be opened if that brick was pushed. Inside the cage is a bizarre silver sculpture. Looks like a bunch of randomly sized rectangles welded together at different angles on all 3 axes, almost alien looking. This is actually a key to room 10. If the party manages to get the portcullis open, they can access room 6, the donation room. This is where the contributions from the noble families are stored. Fine candelabras, bejeweled weapons, even a magic item or 2. One of them is an EMP rod, which is a new magic item. See the appendix. However, it's all very well protected. Glyphs of warding are all over the place. See the module for details. Backtracking all the way around, we're going to go to room 8, the Embalming room. Very musty odor. There's a workbench along one wall with some plain candles, bandages, jars of amber liquid, and pots of moist clay, which is important. A table in the center of the room has 3 corpses which are completely wrapped in bandages. The influence of the Reflectrix is particularly unfortunate here. After an abnormally large wave, some of the corpses might overlap with their planar counterpart, animate, and attack. Moving on to room 9, the Crypts proper. mostly filled with corpses which are in alcoves in the walls. One might have a cursed item on it. The door at the far end is a large slab of polished silver. It has no handle or keyhole, but a large cylinder with a bizarrely shaped recession in the middle. In fact, this is the inverse of the sculpture that was found in room 5. The door will only open if that sculpture is inserted. Another alternative for a crafty party might be to fill the recession with clay from room 8 and then use a potion of silver transmutation on it to create a new key. And that brings us to the vault. This is where the Reflectrix itself is stored. Notably, there's a big pile of scrap metal in here, which is actually one or more guardian automatons lying in wait. Depending on the party's level, this monster is different, but if they're mid or high, you can use the Scepter Drone, which is a new monster described in the appendix. Removing the Reflectrix from the vicinity of the glyphed circle on the ground will deactivate it. The protective dome around Silvervale will instantly vanish, and the enemy will see the opportunity to charge, which sets up a potentially action-packed next session in your campaign. So there you go, the Sins of Silvervale, very high-level overview. The module has new magic items, monsters, and role-playing tips. And be sure to check out Dungeon Cast on Facebook. I am Wyloch, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time.